One of these ladies is going to analyze the handwriting of this panel. Tom Poston, Dina Merrill, Johnny Carson, and Peggy Cass. What is your name, please?
My name is Dorothy Sara.
My name is Dorothy Sara.
My name is Dorothy Sara.
It's To Tell the Truth. And here is your host, Bud Collier.
Thank you, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth. Brought to you this week by Aerowax, made with natural wax for a shine that mops back naturally. Aerowax. Good evening, panel.
Good evening.
How are you all this evening? Will you please open your envelopes, take out your affidavit cards for the first time, and follow along as I read from this first one. I, Dorothy Sara, am a handwriting analyst and past president of the American Graphological Society. I analyze personality traits and potential abilities through handwriting for psychiatrists, marriage counselors, and business organizations. I have analyzed the panelists' handwriting without their knowledge. And here is what I found. Tom Poston's handwriting proves him to be adaptable, imaginative, and easily bored by routine detail. He has no financial sense.
Financial sense?
No financial sense, is an incurable optimist, and at heart a romantic, old-fashioned type gentleman. The handwriting of Dina Merrill shows fine taste in color and design and excellent coordination and rhythm. She is a good hostess and enjoys meeting interesting people. She is, however, more shy than appears on the surface. Her head tries to dominate her heart, but she is basically warm and sentimental. Happiest when sharing her life with others. Johnny Carson's writing indicates that he is not really as casual as he looks. He is a complete perfectionist and is extremely self-critical. With his original thinking and his quick wit, he has still a strong respect for the dignity of both himself and others. He is in the true sense of the word, an individualist. The handwriting of Peggy Cass shows her dislike of pretense and pretentious people. She is instinctively clever and has a lilting sense of humor, but her versatility is often a liability since she tries to do too many things at the same time. She has keen intuition, but she is sometimes generous to the point of being gullible. Signed, Dorothy Sara.
Peggy, you shouldn't monkey around with your career. That's what she's trying to say.
Now, panel, you know why we asked each of you last week to write a note of thanks to the nation's TV editors for voting us the top game show on television.
Shameless tricksters.
Ladies, you all have samples of their handwriting, do you? Hold them all up. There they are. Okay, you have them to refer to. All right, you heard them all claiming to be Dorothy Sara, handwriting expert and analyst. Let's begin with our own handwriting expert, Tom Poston. Tom?
Oh, thank you, Bud. I think. Miss Sara, number 2, do you know George Abbott, the fantastically successful Broadway motion picture director and producer and writer? He's a handwriting expert. Is that true, number 2?
Yes, he is.
Number 3, why did you say that I was careless with my money and had no... Would you hold this for me, Dina? Why do you say I'm careless with my money? I don't see where you get that in my hand.
Well, you're very large spaces. You make very large spaces.
In my wallet?
In your writing.
Thank you. Number 1, how can you say that I'm romantic and
Did you hear the gun?
Oh, thank you.
Dina.
Well, you're romantic because you are basically a conventional man, even though you try very hard to give the appearance of other things. For instance, every time you make a T, you give such a strong downstroke that it shows you really want to hew to the line and be the good old-fashioned romantic type.
Okay, Dina.
It's $10 shy here.
Miss Sara, number 1. Do you agree with what Miss Sara, number 3, said about the spaces? Is that spaces between letters, number 3, or spaces between words?
Both. Spaces between letters, between words, and between lines.
And
It's
between
widely
letters.
spaced.
I see. What can you tell me, number one, about spaces between letters?
Well, the spaces between letters show a lack of thrift because he's using up so much space of the paper in writing.
My goodness, you asked all about Tom. You didn't ask anything about yourself. We may never know about you. Johnny.
This is most interesting. Number two, what is the correct term for what you do?
Graphologist.
A graphologist.
I'm a graphologist.
Good. Do you have my writing there? Do you have my writing there?
Right there, right here.
Well, can you tell? Am I successful in love?
You try to be.
I'm trying to be. I give it all I can.
You are a perfectionist, however.
I beg your pardon?
You are a perfectionist. A born
what?
perfectionist.
In what?
In almost everything.
Still almost, Johnny.
Almost everything.
Peggy.
Number two, do you feel that if people who were engaged got their handwriting analyzed before they got married, they would avoid later divorces?
I think it would be a very good idea. Marriage counselors send specimens to us.
I see. Number three, if once they're married and they go to the marriage counselor and you get an example of the writing and it doesn't match, do you say, okay, kids, you've had it?
Oh, no.
Or do you advise them to change their writing?
We point out what each one is basically, and then they have to adapt one to the other.
I see. Number one, does IBM use this system?
I really never divulge the name of any of our clients.
Including IBM. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Those machines can do the dickens. All right, time is up now, so will you kindly take the rest of the time in marking your ballots. Without consultation, vote as you do so for number one, number two, or number three. Team of challengers will get the usual $250 for every incorrect vote. All set? All ballots marked? All right, Tom, for your inimitable handwriting. Johnny, have you marked? If you haven't, I don't want to ask anything until we do. Okay. Yes, Tom.
That's open-handed handwriting of a guy who is very loose with his dough. And probably loose with his brains, too. But it's number three, I thought, because of the way she answered about the marriage counseling thing.
Okay, Dina.
I voted for number two, Bud. This was kind of a hobby of mine once when I was a little girl. I've forgotten most of it, but it seems to me that I remember that spaces between letters meant that people couldn't keep secrets very well and didn't have anything to do with thriftiness. That's just a guess.
Johnny.
That's spaces between teeth.
Oh, excuse me.
I voted for number two. I'm very thrifty.
Yes, I could even say you're too thrifty. Peggy.
Well, I voted for number two because while she was answering, she was looking at the writing and sort of doing it at the same time.
Huh? All right, there we have it. Let's get our push-pull system here and see how well we came out in the voting as we learn right now which one of these three ladies is the real graphologist handwriting analyst. So will the real Dorothy Sara please stand up? Oh, good boy, Tom. Okay, let's find out about the other two analysts. Now, number one, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
My name is Ethel Fisher Korn, and I write humorous greeting cards for the Oz Greeting Card Company here in New York.
Now, number two, you got most of the votes, 3 in all. What is your real name and what do you do?
My name is Rosanna Lewis. I work in the Hack Drivers Bureau of the New York City Police Department.
Check our score and we find there were 1, 2, 3 incorrect votes. Very good, challengers. Very good indeed. At $250 each, that gives you a very nice total to start things off tonight of $750 for the three of you to split up. And, of course, you also get from Aerowax a gift package of the fine products that they make. And we thank you for being with us. You've added a lot to our fun. I hope we've given you a pleasant time, too. Good night and God bless you. Now, panel, let's meet our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Michael A. Musmanno.
My name is Michael A. Musmanno.
My name is Michael A. Musmanno.
Will you follow along with your copies of this next affidavit, panel? I, Michael A. Musmanno, am a justice of the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. I am also an author. My latest book is entitled 10 Days to Die and deals with the last days of Adolf Hitler's life. I devoted 3 years to an investigation into the facts surrounding Hitler and his death. I am thoroughly familiar with the Nazi regime. During the Eichmann trial, I was called to Israel to testify for the prosecution. This appearance was largely the result of the fact that in 1946, I was appointed by President Truman to be a judge at the Nuremberg war crimes trials. There I presided over what has often been referred to as the biggest murder trial in history. Signed, Michael A. Musmanno. The situation of 3 gentlemen panel, as you heard, and did I, that each one claims to be Michael Musmanno, judge at the Nuremberg trials. And we'll begin this round of questioning with Peggy Cass. Peggy?
Number 1, who was the Gauleiter of Poland who was assassinated?
The Gauleiter of Poland who was assassinated was Erich Stronheim.
Thank you. Number 2, how many went free in the Nuremberg trials? How many of the defendants?
Well, there were several trials in the Nuremberg trials. There were 12 altogether. On the case that I presided on, there were 23 defendants. 14 of them were convicted and sentenced to hang, and then the others had other.
I see. Number 3, what happened to Schacht?
You mean, that's in the first International Military Tribunal trial. He was acquitted. But then later he was convicted by a German court.
Tom.
Oh, it's mine. Thank you. Number 3, do you happen to know who Irving Sapol is?
I do not.
Number 2, I'll ask all of you gentlemen. Number 2, do you happen to know?
No.
Number 1, do you know who Irving Sapol is?
No, I do not.
Well, he's a very famous jurist, and he's in our Supreme. He used to be the Attorney General of something. Number 3, what was the legal determination of Goering at the time of his trial? Do you remember?
Oh, I certainly do. He was convicted and sentenced to hang, and then beat the hangman's noose by taking poison.
Number 2, how do we know Hitler isn't running a delicatessen someplace?
Well, it was fully established during the 3 years that I was at the Nuremberg trial. I interviewed about 200 people who had been in daily association with him, including his chauffeur who burned the bodies up on front of the chancellery.
Thank you.
Dina.
Number 1, of these 14 convicted, how many are still, were the 14 that were convicted to death?
Yes.
And were they all executed?
No, they were not.
How many of them were actually executed?
2 of them committed suicide. 4 have been had their sentences commuted. The others were executed.
I see. Number 2, of the others who were not convicted of the death penalty but were put in jail, how many have been released since then?
Well, most of them, I believe.
Are there any left?
I don't think there are any of them left. I think they've all been released since that time.
Johnny.
Number 3, who took over from Hitler? Who did Hitler pass on command to before he died?
Admiral Karl Donitz.
Number 2, who was actually the last person to see Hitler alive? Well, alive or dead. The last person to see him dead was his chauffeur, who poured the gasoline on the bodies of he and his Eva Braun in front of the chancellery. Number 3, who is George Rockwell?
I didn't catch a question.
Who is George Rockwell?
George Rockwell?
Rockwell.
Oh, he certainly has nothing to do with my book, 10 Days to Die.
No, I know he has nothing.
That has nothing to do with the fact that the time is gone. You haven't even got 10 seconds to question now, but you do have about that length of time to vote. So will you kindly do so? Mark your ballots right now, without consultation, and vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. All ballots marked?
Not yet.
Everybody? All right. Tom, which one did you select this time?
Well, I was recently on a jury with Justice Sapol, and he has such a wonderful way at the bench and such a wonderful demeanor, and I thought number 3 was the most like that. If judges have things in common, I thought that way he has of sitting and judging us over here is sort of similar to Justice Sapol.
Dina, which one do you think is the real one?
Well, I voted for number 3, too, Bud. Very much the same reasons as Tom. He looks more like my idea of a judge.
Johnny.
Maybe the show will get sent up or something. I've voted for number 3 because he was a little shifty there at the end. And I don't mean, sir, that judges are shifty, but, you know.
And Peggy, going to make it unanimous, huh?
Yes, I voted for 3 because Schott did go free, and also that man was never the Gauleiter of Poland, number 1, that I know of.
All right, there we have it once more. In our own moment of truth, let's discover now whether the evidence weighs heavily right or wrong, as we learn in this particular trial which one of these gentlemen is the real Nuremberg judge. So will the real Michael A. Musmanno please stand up? Thank you, sir. I must say that in addition to Judge Musmanno's other accomplishments, he has a particularly and singularly distinctive record in both World War I and World War II, and we're very proud to have you with us tonight, sir. Now, number 1, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
I am Samuel Lieber Jr. I am an assistant dean and director of the summer sessions at the American University in Washington, D.C.
And last but by no means least, number 2, your real name and what do you do, please?
My real name is Alexander C. Kidd. I'm better known as Captain Kidd. I'm vice president of the Marriott Lane Company in Paterson, New Jersey. We design and manufacture equipment for the Navy.
Thank you, sir. Well, we checked the score through before you gentlemen leave, and we find that the panel was a little too smart. I guess that kind of distinction sort of radiates from the judge. And that means no incorrect ones, but in that case from Aerowax, $150 to be sort of carte blanched up between you, if you will. And we thank you for being with us. You'll also receive a gift package of fine products from Aerowax. Good night, gentlemen, and God bless you. Our third team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Ann Sidlauskas.
My name is Ann Sidlauskas.
My name is Ann Sidlauskas.
Again, panel, follow along with this third affidavit, if you will, please. I, Ann Sidlauskas, am a sophomore at Indiana University. My hobby is playing billiards. I played for the first time when I was 9 years old, but began to get serious about the game only recently. I was one of the college girls selected in regional competition to compete in the National Collegiate Billiards Tournament. I won the title of National College Co-ed Pocket Billiards Champion. Signed, Ann Sidlauskas. All right, we heard these 3 young ladies each claiming to be Ann Sidlauskas, Pocket Billiards Champion. We'll start with our own Pocket Billiards champ, Johnny Carson. Johnny?
Number 1, very quickly, spell your last name.
Sidlauskas.
Number 2, is that right?
Yes.
Number 3, is that right?
Yes.
You. Number 3. What is Indiana is known as the what state?
Hoosier.
Right. Number 2, can you tell me one of the top football players at Indiana University?
They're all pretty bad. I don't think I'd like to.
They're all pretty bad. You're not going to make the dean's list this year either.
Peggy.
Number 1, where is Indiana University?
Bloomington, Indiana.
Number 3, what is the principal industry of Gary, Indiana?
I don't know.
Number 1, do you know?
I think it's steel.
Number 2, who is Willie Hoppy?
Willie Hoppy was the greatest 3-cushion billiards player there ever was.
Number 3, what do they call that green stuff that covers the pool table?
Felt.
Crabgrass.
Money.
Crabgrass.
Tom Poston.
Number one, what's another name for French pool?
I don't know.
Do you know number two?
No, I
Number
don't.
three, just by chance? Do you know, what's number three, what's straight pool?
Straight pool is when you call your shots as you play them without playing rotation.
Thank you. Number two, what's Kelly pool?
Kelly pool is a gambling form of pool. You draw numbers and shoot that ball.
Thank you. Number one, what kind of chalk do you use?
Q chalk.
And number one...
Dina Merrill.
Number one, what's that thing called that helps you make a shot when it's far away?
Bridge.
Number two, what is the name of the national ladies champion, the senior?
I don't know.
Do you know number three?
No, I don't.
Do you know number one?
No, I don't.
What about the men's champion? Do you know number one?
Willie Moscone.
You agree with that, number two?
He's the greatest.
Well, I'll go along with that. Is he also national men's champion?
I don't know.
Number three, do you know?
Yes.
Yes, you know. Yes, he is.
That's it. Okay, take the balls off the table there and put the cues up in the rack, and let's go for the voting. Mark the ballots, if you will, please, and mark them now. Without consultation, vote for number one, number two, or number three. Chalk your cues and mark your ballots there.
Could I ask some more questions, Bud?
Oh, I wish you could. I wish you can. Okay, we all set? Fine. Tom, which one?
I voted for number one, Bud. It was just a guess. It was between number one and number three, and I wasn't even thinking of number three until right at the very end.
Dina.
Well, I voted for number two because she looks like a typical co-ed to me. And I don't know anything about billiards.
Johnny.
I was thinking of number three from the very beginning. So I vote for number three.
And Peggy, which one do you think is the real one?
I voted for number three because she looks like a typical pool player.
Well, she can take that any way she likes. Let's see how we take it. The votes are in, the minds are made up, and the balls
Something
are back in the
like
rack.
Jackie
Let's see what we do now as we learn which one of these ladies is the real pocket billiards champion. So will the real and Sidlauskas please stand up?
Another murder.
Really fooled them. Okay, number two, you got a vote. What is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Pat Bodine, and I work for Family Circle magazine in the promotion department.
You're the greatest. Not in the pool room, in other words. I say not in the pool room.
No.
Number three, you got two votes. What is your real name? You who looks the most like a billiard player.
My name is Belinda Dotson, and I work as a cocktail waitress at the Room in the Bottom in the Greenwich Village.
Hey, that's Well, you did all right, ladies. You really kind of fooled the panel that time. They did so well the last time we didn't know where they were going. But here it is, 1, 2, 3 incorrect votes at $250 each. The grand total is split amongst you of $750. Not bad. That from Aerowax as well as the gift package of all the fine products from the makers of Aerowax. If we added entertainment to your evening, you certainly added it to ours as well as gracing it with your prettiness. Good night to you, and God bless you. I'll be away for a little while for a couple of weeks' vacation, and in my absence, my good friend Merv Griffin will be here, whom I'm sure you all love, as do I. Well, I guess that's about it, panel. There's nothing left to say, but good night to you.
Good night, Bud.
Bud Collier saying good night for Aerowax and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.
The preceding program has been pre-recorded.